It's a hot summer day, very humid, in South Georgia. I'm under a mulberry tree with Shoe Man and his cousin Nora and Dorothy May. We've been playing marbles all week, and I had my eye on a special marble that Shoe Man had called a cat eye. I've been practicing how I was gonna get that cat eye. I said I put my knee down and my butt up and my elbow back and pop it. I knew my time was coming. I just couldn't wait. I was nervous, but I thought if I just calm down, it's gonna be all right. I was just getting ready to pop that cat eye. I knew it was mine. And my grandmama said, "Shirley, come and go with me. I'm from the South. If your grandmama tell you to move, you don't move your lips, you move your rear." And that's what I did. I jumped up, put all my marbles in a bag, twisted them around my waist, and got behind my grandmother. She said, "Come on, baby, we gotta go fast. I just got word that Scylla just died." Miss Scylla's my grandmama's best fishing buddy. She said, "We gotta get there before the undertakers get there, because when they get there, honey, they mess them all up. They're never the same." And so I was running out. My grandmama, I was just jumping up and down. I didn't have shoes on. During the summer, we didn't wear shoes. You know, the only time you wore shoes in it was the church and school. School was out, and this definitely wasn't no church. So my grandmama took her skirt and threw it around her left arm. I caught it so I could hold on, I could keep up with her. And I was moving like popcorn, bouncing around, trying to keep my feet cool. And the closer we got to Miss Scylla's house, there was people in the yards, there were people on the steps, there was people on the porch. And as my grandma moved up the step, she went to Mr. George, Miss Scylla's husband, and she said, "Is she still here?" He said, "Yes, ma'am. She's still in. They ain't got her yet." So we went in Miss Scylla's room. My grandmama went on one side, and I went on the other. Then my grandmama started talking to Miss Scylla. And all I could see was an outline of Miss Scylla. Miss Scylla, I know, is a big woman, and she went fishing with my grandmother, and she usually had 3 poles in the left arm and 2 cans in the right. 1 can for a fried egg sandwich with a cup of water, and the other can for her fishing baits. So she used to say, "Shirley Ann, baby, come in, get my poles for me." So I said, "Get her poles," and I would help her get in the car with my grandmother, from there head out to go fishing. But what I saw in the bed, it wasn't Miss Scylla. She was so thin, and my grandmama was talking to her. And when my grandmama finished talking to her, my grandmama took her hand and rubbed it over Miss Scylla's face. And then she rubbed her face. And then she said, "Baby, Shirley Ann, I want you to rub Miss Scylla's face." You kidding me? This is the first dead person I ever saw and want me to touch her. But believe me, I didn't give no lip service, Dr. My grandma. I do what I was told. So what I did was I propped my body against the bed to lift me up, because I really couldn't see Miss Scylla. So I moved closer to her head. I lifted up and put my body up against the bed and on my toes so I could touch her. So I couldn't use my hand, so I used my finger. And then I touched Miss Scylla's skin. It was so warm and smooth and spongy-like. Then I rubbed her lips. They were dry, but there was no words or air coming through her lips. And then I rubbed her cheeks and her nose, and I went to find her eyes. It seemed like her eyes were sunk in her head, but I tried to find them and rub her eyes, and they were soft. And I rubbed both the eyes, then I rubbed her forehead, and I rubbed her whole face. Then I looked up at my grandma, and she said, basically nodding that I should do my face. So I rubbed around my face like my grandma told me. And then when I finished, I looked up at my grandma, and she said, "Shirley Ann, you'll never, ever be afraid of dead people." To that, my grandmother stepped away from the bed, and so did I. And so as we was leading out, my grandmama turned back around to look at Miss Scylla. And on our way out, the funeral home people was rushing in. We had just made it, just in time to get there before they got there. So we went back home. My grandmother went in the house, and I was outside, and I looked to the left. And under the mulberry tree was Shoeman, Nora, and Dorothy May. Nora Felton had my marble. And she held my marble up between her two fingers and gave a little smile. But that wasn't it. That wasn't enough. She took her lips up and she kissed my marble. I said, "No, you didn't, Nora Felton. You know that's my cat eye." But she wasn't finished. She took my cat eye and dropped it in that old dirty, holy sock, confirming that she owned my marble. And I said, "No, you know you shouldn't have done that." And I said, "That's all right, that's all right, that's all right." My grandmama took me to see Miss Scylla. Miss Scylla was dead. And my grandmama let me take my whole finger and rub it on Miss Scylla's whole body. And Miss Scylla and I coming to get all of y'all. And before I could finish, they ran like roaches when the lights turned on. But I said, "You know what? That just shows you the power of a finger." And knowledge is a powerful thing. I have the knowledge to know I ain't scared of no dead folks no more because of my grandmama. But they real scared. And me and Miss Scylla going to get them. So I said, "Come on, Miss Scylla, we going. We going to get us some roaches and a marble." So we ran them all over the neighborhood. They were screaming and hollering and making all those noise. People was coming out of the house, and I'm like, "What is going on?" Everybody was wondering what was going on, and so was my mama. My mama said, "Shirley, get in here, now." So as I went in the house, I heard them back there snickering. They thought they had me. But I turned around, and I looked at them, and I held my finger up, and I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." Thank you.